or the peer group or relatives or religious organizations or mass media or various existing socializing forces, the child is able to learn from the society. And he is able to understand the various societal aspects on all these things like religion or politics or law or various other things due to certain the social media apps to nowadays, that is WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Now, as social curriculum, one is influenced completely, and their opinions, experiences, and behavior tends to get modified. Now, besides this explicit curriculum, which is given by the law enforcing, by the educational agencies, as well as the social curriculum, say, which is obtained by the child because of his interactions with the society, there is also the hidden or the covert curriculum. Now, this is not visible, but it influences the child in many ways. For example, if you consider the school, the type of school management, the administrators, the teachers, their behavior, the managemental styles, and the organization of the how discipline, how it tries to imbibe the discipline in the students, the rules and regulations, the objectives of forming the institution, the motto of the institution, arrangements of the classroom, the formal instructions, messages, and information, all these can be considered as the hidden curriculum because this actually motivates the student as well as it gives a sort of idea of what rewards and punishments he can expect, what sort of rules he has to observe so as to get along, and also this influences the student indirectly. Now we know that the students also learn informally from the organizational setting that they are accustomed to, and these experiences also result in formal learning. Now, there is also null curriculum. For example, if one decides to not teach certain things, that itself forms the null curriculum. Null curriculum is abstaining from certain curriculum. And we know that somehow, sometimes we know that when we try to teach about wars, but not about peace. So here, this is a sort of null curriculum. We teach only selected history. Now, there is phantom curriculum. Now, this is information which is obtained from various types of mass media, which influence the person in acquiring adapting characteristics, and it transcends the boundaries of geographical class. For example, fashion. Fashion is known as the phantom curriculum. Also, there is concomitant curriculum, that is, one learns side by side from family, such as values, morals, ethics, which are obtained from the household experiences, the religious festivals they may attend, or any other such societal aspects. And this is known as concomitant curriculum in the sense it is the curriculum is also obtained in addition to normal life that is seen in the school. There is also rhetorical curriculum, that is the curriculum followed, which is made by the policymakers, the politicians, the administrators, educationists, social officials, professionals, etc. And this consists of the pedagogical knowledge. Now also we have got the curriculum in use or sometimes received curriculum and the internal curriculum or the internal curriculum where the student tries to understand assigned meanings and also tries to see that the knowledge, whatever knowledge he gains because of all these activities outside in and outside the classroom, that is known as the internal curriculum. Also, we have got the electronic curriculum, the term because of the electronic blogs or maybe online conversations or through different emails, one learns through knowledge, and that is known as the electronic curriculum. Now, regarding the hidden curriculum, we know that the school is a source of hidden curriculum as well as the society is also a source of hidden curriculum. We know that the classroom activities, the curricular activities, the extracurricular and the co-curricular activities, the infrastructural facilities, the institutional facilities, all these actually are all sources of hidden curriculum. Now, what are the examples of the hidden curriculum? The way we perceive gender, races, caste, groups, classes of people, that is somehow influenced by the school, and this is known as the hidden curriculum. Sometimes we have both the accepted and unaccepted ideas and behaviors, and the social and academic behaviors and expectations of the education institutions, and the way we interact with the society or the peers, all this comes under the hidden curriculum. Now, the characteristics of the hidden curriculum are, it is not properly prescribed or studied curriculum. It is invisible. It is somewhat covert or latent or silent. It is a product of schooling. and has a strong influence on students in many ways. The child learns their attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors because of this hidden curriculum. From the classroom environment and the social environment, the child learns norms, behaviors, values, and also the learning experiences during the class and outside the class make the student actually behave in a particular manner. When we talk about the educational implications of the hidden curriculum, we know that so many lessons are taught to the children, and the transmission of this hidden curriculum is given by the school either intentionally or unintentionally. We know that the student-teacher relationships are somewhat affected because of the hidden curriculum. It also contributes to the attitudes, conflicts, and behaviors in the children. The cultural expectations of the and the values of the school or the society are transmitted through this hidden curriculum, and we cannot discriminate between right and wrong as it remains status quo. And educators and teachers should understand that besides what they are teaching, there is something in the hidden curriculum that is given by the organizations as such, and which clearly is affecting the child. Now, the role of the teacher is to understand their own attitudes and values, and which they must understand that they are influencing the students in the process of trying to make them go through a curriculum. Positive effect. At the same time, it is a teaching strategy. Sometimes learned language and skills can be imparted through the silent manner of the behavior may be changed. Sometimes we may also some negatively affect the students. So in order to change the negative behavior of the students too, the hidden curriculum can be made use of. So these types of different curriculum actually help the child to go through the learning process through his adulthood. Now, if we understand the learner's diversity in the Indian context, we know that all the children differ in many ways. In a classroom, we know that because India is a multilingual country and a multicultural society, there's lots of diversity in the languages they speak, the religions they follow, the physical or the mental aspects that they show, the family background and the household numbers, as well as the parental education, their attitudes, their interests, desires, expectations, all these matter a lot. The discipline in the house and what sort of parental upbringing they have, and how much support they have from the home front, as well as the number of siblings one has, the economic status of the family, as well as the parental leadership, whether the family takes a good role in the society, or what I mean here is whether they take an active part in the society or whether they step back. All these would also make a difference in the child upbringing. Now, the child, when he enters the school environment, the organization, the management, the discipline of the institution, the classroom management as such, the teachers, the teaching styles, as well as the experiences, the co-curricular and extracurricular experiences, and also the activities that one is conducting, the sports a child involves in, or when the academic activities like quizzes or any other competitions he involves in, all these make a difference in the child growth. We know that there are much diversity in the learners, and apart from the school and the family, the neighborhood, the peer group, the societal norms and standards, all these make a difference in the individual differences and the way they perceive the society. And therefore, for example, when countries are diverse, like say France or United States, or in some other countries like Iran, now there is more diversity. We find that the more exposure they have, it is possible that they try to develop more sort of religious, what we call semblance, or they try to intermingle or have a better balance in the society. Now, the role of the teacher is when one is faced in such a cultural setting, there is a possibility that the students may also lose their self-confidence. So, developing the self-confidence in the children is one of the criteria by which the teachers act. The teachers have to develop the understanding that there are diverse cultures in the society, diverse beliefs in the society, and therefore the student must be able to get along by having an inclusive sort of attitude. And also he must see that the peer learning and reflections among students, the debate and discussions are there, and valuing and adapting to himself as well as to others, and having an idea about his own self, that is an ideal self, as well as having trying to interact with others and giving respect to others is also very important. So he has to understand that there are different cultures in the society and he has to get along with them. Now, there is also hidden discrimination in curriculum, sometimes without knowing. We know that we have a discrimination which is maybe against sex, gender, or even what we call religion, caste. And these sort of discriminations may, because of the carrying from so several ages, they may be reflected without knowing in the curriculum too. So now refusing admission based on some, say, due to a disability, or due to some disfiguration, or refusing admission due to economic status, low economic status. All these are sort of discrimination. We know that Article 15(1) and 2 of the Indian Constitution actually prohibit the use of this sort of discriminations while getting admission. But at the same time, we know in spite of all these, due to admissions are based on somewhat gender, and also racial discrimination is seen sometimes. And these sort of differences may actually exacerbate whatever differences there are in the society, because we know the school is a minuscule of the society, and therefore whatever sort of education you give in the classroom, they again get reflected in the society. Now, the role of the teacher is to understand that there are different manners. The society is multicultural, multilingual, and understand that the behaviors and values in a classroom are being established by the norms seen in the classroom, and therefore that the marks, grades, scores all involve the manners, behavior, and attitudes of the child. The child should understand that the popular among the teachers are the who are the teachers, that are popular among the students are the ones who behave impartial towards all the students. The teacher role is very crucial in providing proper modeling to the child. Also, when we consider the socialization, we know that the gender is very important. The best example is encouraging boys for games and sports, whereas the teacher plays a major role in this gender discrimination. A teacher must see that there is no gender discrimination in classroom, and one should be provide all the aspects. When a female child should be helped to take part in the sports, and also the knowledge of cultures, morals, socials, viewpoints, as well as the politics, the cultural expectations and languages are all important for the teacher. The teacher has to be impartial. She has to understand that the essence of the child is when it grows in a sort of having a systemic values imbibed in the child, and also that the universal peace and understanding the foundations are laid in the classroom. Now, when we know that there is diversity, multilingualism, and multiculturalism, and individual differences in the classroom, we should know that every individual is also bestowed with his own unique rights or with his own unique features, and they should be encouraged, because it is out of this diversity or variety that there is scope for the humankind to develop more and give more solutions to the human problems. So now we can say that the curriculum is a program of studies, course materials, objectives, and also it deals with certain content which has taught to the child so that he comes out with certain learning. Now, the guidance given to by the school as well as the teacher is through this curricular process, the interpersonal relationships between the student along with his peers, as well as the society is able to develop because of this curriculum. All the field experiences, the project works, the assignments, experiments are all come under the curriculum. There are different types of curriculum based on the objectives on which they are based. For example, you have got explicit curriculum, as well as societal curriculum, hidden curriculum, null and phantom curriculum, and rhetoric curriculum. And all these curriculums actually try to better the child in the classroom. It is the whole some set of experiences which actually help the learner so that based on his background, a student is it is made possible for a learner to understand the different values, behaviors, as well as understanding about the subject, the content, and his expectations are given a proper channel, and a good citizen is able to come out of good curriculum, and the discipline, the family freedom, values, all these also have an effect, because it is not in the whole school that the child stays. He also comes from a home, and therefore the economic status of the family, the number of siblings, and all these his religious, ethnic, and other backgrounds, all these matter, and this is known as the learner's diversity. Now, hidden discrimination is such discrimination which, without knowing, it is imbibed in the school system or values, and that has to be carefully taken cognizance of. And the teacher should stay away from the hidden curriculum. In the sense, if it is hidden discrimination, one should stay away. But if it is the hidden curriculum actually helps the child in developing more, he or she should take cognizance of it. Now, besides the curriculum and the learning objectives that the student we are actually gone through in the last few classes, let us understand now about the stress and anxiety. Unit 11. The stress and anxiety are a byproduct of today's society. We know that the stress is defined as an internal stage which is caused by the physical demands on the body. And we here see, but both the environment and social factors actually result in a harmful condition in such a way that, because one is not able to cope more, one uses his resources, and he finds it very difficult for coping. So now most people are now no longer able to bear such stress, which is causing both mental as well as physical sort of demand, and it will result in sort of what we call no work output as such. Now, most people experience some degree of stress on a daily basis. It is normal that the effects of stress are more in others than some people, and actually, some people, stress helps to actually do certain things. Whereas, when certain people, it is perceived as threat because it is no longer considered an opportunity. Sometimes stress gives rise to opportunity. Somebody faces stress, they try to overcome it by actually trying to face the situation and overcome it. Now, stress causes events are also known as stresses. Now, they may come from within a person or from outside a person. Now, anxiety is the one of the general terms that is seen. All of us have nervousness, worry, fear, or apprehension sometimes. Sometimes these can be very overwhelming so as to manifest as physical symptoms. Now, the American Psychological Association defines anxiety as an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. Anxiety is not stress, though the terms are used interchangeably. Stress is something that is usually transient and can be remedied. Anxiety may not be remedied, it may be a constant, unrelenting sensation that requires intervention from a professional in order to solve. Now, why do we get stressed? There are major changes in an individual, for example, like moving to a new school, losing a friend or a wife or a husband, and suffering from serious illness. Hassles can also be experienced. Arguing with our own lecturer or a senior may also result in sort of stress. Now, stress and anxiety share the same primary symptoms, such as pounding heart, rapid breathing, dilated pupils, and muscle tensions. The symptoms can overlap, but sometimes some people are more susceptible than others. Now, this is because some people stress out making even some ordinary decisions like what to eat, where to go, what to buy, and how other people live. Now, stressful feelings include frustration and nervousness. There are certain physical and psychological symptoms of stress. The common physical symptoms include stomachache, muscle tension, headache, rapid breathing, fast heartache and sweating, and shaking, sweating, dizziness, frequent urination, change in appetite, diarrhea, fatigue, trouble sleeping, and also some of the psychological and emotional symptoms are depression or anxiety, anger, irritability, or restlessness, feeling overwhelmed or unmotivated, and also somewhat having trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, or having constant worry, and having internal conflicts resolved. And a person must choose between incompatible or mutually exclusive goals, problems with memory, problems making decisions, and also feelings of impending doom and panic or nervousness and difficulty concentrating and restlessness and irrational anger. Now, when we come to the stress in the educational settings, it is the academic stress we talk about, especially the causes of the school. We find that the examinations or deadlines for projects or assignments or can cause stress, as well as returning to study or participating in classroom can also cause sometimes stress. Too much homework, heavy workload, and poor sleep schedules, difficulty in organizing work, poor time management, leaving assignments till the last moment, or leaving any work till the last minute, adjusting to life in a new environment or a new school or a new country, and also balancing the demands of a family with studying. Sometimes all the children are not well endowed. Sometimes the economic status makes them to work both at home and at school, and this sometimes may cause problem with the classroom. Sometimes there may be problems with the parents or in the home, and all this can result in stress. Now, we know that stress results from an accumulation of various pressures which build over gradually over a period of time. Now, there's maybe psychological disorders like anxiety, depression, and also stress significantly exacerbates the pressure on students to perform better. The factors that are collectively seen are they lead to mostly to low academic achievement, and we also see the prevalence of mental health problems in children. Now, the factors that influence the students' academic performance are sometimes the classroom environment and the teacher support actually influences the students' better academic achievement. Also, sometimes the family gives importance to the parents' education, especially gives importance to the child education, and therefore the children are able to do better. The parents having high educational expectations from their children, and also having long school schedules, and all this can also affect the students' academic performance. Sometimes, if the socio-economic status of the child is very poor, then the student is not able to do well. Sometimes there are impracticable demands from or what we call aspirations or beliefs from the guardians as well as the teachers, making asking the student to make much progress, which sometimes is not possible. So having realistic standards is also very important. Sometimes poor study, poor academic performance, having no proper disciplinary way of approach to study, all these may affect the poor academic performance. We talk about the performance or the quality of the students, but at the same time, one should understand that the academic anxiety is a state seen in this child because of a sense of insecurity. And also, they try to avoid and procrastinate certain things, as well as performance and evaluation settings. All these make a difference. And in spite of all these, we know that the students with emotional impairments can also exhibit experience academic career characterized by anxiety disorders. So we say that the academic stress is also related to their emotional impairment. Now, we know that in order to overcome the academic stress and anxiety, one should have certain strategies. We know that most of the college students think of suicide because of this depression or other mental health conditions. They are overwhelmed with anxiety sometimes. It is a common problem in college campuses. They are unable to meet the societal expectations as well as the parental expectations, and they face daily stress and somewhat interference with their academic progress. And what are the strategies that one can overcome these things? One is to have a to-do list. In order to understand what is realistic, what one can achieve, one should have a to-do list. At the same time, they should also be able to manage their time properly and plan all the time they have in the activities that they can put in and the tools that they have, and how much realistically they can plan minute by minute. And they should also set up sometimes a reward system by which they can reward themselves because they are able to achieve certain things. And if they have any problems in their academic life, they should seek the help of their elders or the parents, and then should move on. And they should take breaks. It's not that the continuously that one should involve in the academic life, that it impairs their even normal thinking. Therefore, they one should take a break now and then and breathe. And again, they one should try to meditate or breathe in or have relaxed time for oneself, and then continue their academic activities. One should eat healthy. Also, the food one has, the nutrients or micronutrients also have a bearing on the emotional as well as um, with the brain activity, as well as there is a physical and mental well-being. And also they should have restful sleep. A good 8 hours sleep per day is required, so that the students are able to put their time to better use on the next day, or involve themselves academically. And also doing good exercise and seeking help if necessary, and adjustments in thought processes, or coming to realistic expectations on the things on one can achieve. And also trying to practice positive thoughts, and having good exercise. All these can actually contribute to reduce stress. Sometimes we see in our country that there is much parental as well as the peer pressure. Now, two of the biggest failures of the Indian education system and parenting in modern India are the inability to identify learning disabilities such as dyslexia, and considering academic failure to be the end of life. This is not so. We know that there is no fail policy in our country. We also have gone up for what we call, instead of the marking scheme, we have changed it to actually where we can have the grading system. And now we have seen that we force our children to study mathematics or engineering or some other subjects, which science, which may, hoping that all may become doctors or engineers. We know that the society is comprised of so many other sort of occupations too, and one should be ready to have all sort of people in all academic fronts. And therefore, we understand that the child's choice in his or her occupation, that is completely neglected. We force our students to study only certain subjects, and we also try to compare with others, and we shame our kids. Now, from this, it is we can understand that in California, University of California has revealed that 92% of the parents felt important that their children should excel in the school, whereas 39% felt there was students felt that there was too much pressure on them. Nearly 40% felt that there was too much pressure on them. This sort of things can have an impact on the health of the students, and it may go on for generations together. And the loss of such generation because of the forcible attitude of the parents, as well as the forced feelings from the child, may actually impact the individual health. Now we know that too much pressure also sometimes it damages the child's self-esteem and can lead to severe consequences, and also depression. It can lead to headaches, stomach aches, neck aches, lack of sleep, and even anxiety attacks. And when students don't meet parents' expectations, it creates a sort of some worthlessness feeling, and that is why most of the teenage suicides are being quadrupled, according to a study by the University of St. Thomas. Now, peer pressure. The peers are the people with whom one socializes, and who are similar in age, interests, as well as in the way they are involved in activities. That is, they are the people, the friends with whom we go to school with, work with, or even meet at an event. Now, peer pressure is sometimes seen when there is much force on the way that the peers act. They can convince you to do what they are doing, and they may actually coax you to say something or do something which you're not interested. And this may actually lead to somewhat diverse sort of lifestyle. They may actually ask you to fit in, or in order to avoid rejection, a person may try to fulfill his peers' what we call requests. And sometimes there may be hormonal inconsistencies, and the social confusion may be there. And because of a lack of structure at home and no support system, one may fall within peer pressure. And these peers may actually lead to certain antisocial or illegal activities which may actually hamper the child in his academic achievement. Now, who are the people who are most vulnerable to the peer pressure? They are the people who do not have support at home, and parents are, although they have a strong influence, but if they are not much assertive, and if the peer pressure can influence, can be positive sometimes, which may help you to try out new activities and to get involved in other things. But generally, it is seen that the peer pressure may actually harm the children. It is because of the peer pleasure that one can see that the clothing styles or the hairstyles or the walking or talking styles and doing risky things or watching the same music or working at school hard or working not so hard or taking part in sexual activities or indulging in taking in drugs, all these may be because of the parental peer pressure. And the parental pressure maybe for academic performance was found to be socially responsible for academic stress, whereas the peer pressure may actually lead to some sort of negative activities. Now, the another factor that can be seen in most of the countries nowadays is bullying, where here a bullying is when a boy tries to beat up or try to look down or overbearing, shows his overbearing nature, or his smaller classmates who may be small in size or somewhat weak in confidence. And this sort of aggressive behavior actually, where they're involved in physical or mental violence against others because of the power imbalance, that is known as the bullying behavior. Now we see some bullying can occur very quietly and covertly through gossip or especially nowadays during smartphone or on the internet, causing emotional damage. So because certain children feel they are violent towards other children in the classroom, the weaker may be facing this sort of bullying, and we can see that there may be real emotional and psychological impact of bullying. We see especially these in all the other countries, and we cannot say that India is also immune to this because certain violent boys or girls may exhibit this sort of bullying. We see long times they may hurt, humiliate, expose, harass, or otherwise harm the other person. Sometimes this bullying is based on the race, ethnicity, the sex, disability, or sexual orientation and national origin, or anyhow, but sometimes it becomes a legal issue. Now, ragging is a one-time thing. A bullying is a permanent thing in the classroom. And who gets bullied? Actually, based on their age, sex, race, class, sexual orientation, national origin. If some people find themselves in a different classroom than that is, they are in a minority, we see that the child gets bullied. And we know that in life, bullying occurs when the children age, especially 18% of the children age 2 to 5 reported expressing this sort of bullying. They have experienced this bullying, whereas only 10% of children, they were found to be age 14 to 17 reported it. That is when they actually grow, the adolescents are not much keen on reporting back the bullying that they are facing, feeling they have no one to talk to or talk about such bullying. And therefore, we find, especially even in the early school ages or late school ages, we find such bullying continuing. The impact of bullying is there is a victim and there is a bully. And we know that the children who are victims have difficulty in sleeping or even eating. They're filled with anxiety and depression. And they also, they think sometimes of self-harm because their academic performance drops down. They have difficulty explaining themselves at home. They are anger, they have negative feelings, but they do not know how to react. If they have friends, if they do not have friends, they may even isolate themselves completely. They may be at increased risk of suicide. Whereas the bullies are often having trouble relating to their peers because they are violent, manipulative, and cruel, and they do not have much empathy, and they are very unpleasant. They may not have much friends. Bullies are actually at greater risk for alcohol and drug abuse as adolescents, as well as engaging in asexual behavior right from the early age. It is indisputable that the bullies are a great antisocial personality disorder that they have. And we know that both bullies as well as persons who are bullied are having certain problems. Now, how to say that they may be even bystanders? The bystanders who may be observing the bullying may feel that they may become the next target if they were to interfere. So they feel that it's none of their business, and they are, if they speak at all, they'll call as a tattletale, and therefore they feel sometimes because of their intervention, much may not be actually be done, and therefore they stay away. So how to actually get over these bullying factors is one has to be identify. One cannot be a bystander in such cases. Opening up a conversation with the bullies and trying to reduce it, and the information should be given to the management or the teachers so that they can reduce this bullying. Bullying is one of the factors we have got even now. Online bullying too, with the modern gadgets we have and the modern apps we have, but at the same time this is increasingly catching on, which is giving lots of nightmares to the children, and this has to be reduced, this has to be curtailed, and this needs to be addressed both at the bully level and the bullied level. People should be asked to come out, open up, and speak up if there is bullying, and the recourse must be taken, and proper action can only try to overcome this problem. This is one of the problems which many countries are facing, right from US to Korea to India to many other countries, where there is large scale bullying going on schools, and this should be curtailed. Now, regarding the test anxiety, we know whenever there is an exam, there is a psychological condition in the students where they are facing extreme distress. Now, some people face some degree of stress, but sometimes during exams. But test anxiety can actually impair learning. We know that a person can do well only if he's ridden of his anxiety and he's able to face the situation as it is. But if he is impaired by the anxiety, it actually affects his learning as well as his evaluation process. Now, the severity of test anxiety will vary from one person to another. Some may have actually some butterflies in one's stomach and some physical discomfort, whereas while one may actually feel very faint. Now, this is because they have difficulty in concentrating and they may struggle to recall things. We know most of the times it is the difficulty in concentration as well as recalling, or the problem with the memory, that actually impairs the students to do well in the exams. Now, when we can know that there is a symptoms of stress anxiety, when students talk about the stomach ache, or they have physical as well as emotional or cognitive sort of symptoms. Now, the physical symptoms may range from sweating as well as shaking, rapid heartbeat, fainting, nausea, headaches, diarrhea. In mild case of test anxiety, we see the butterflies in the stomach, but more severe cases, they can actually become very severely ill. The cognitive and the behavioral symptoms, we know that most of the time, the substance abuse or drugs drops out of school, avoid the source of their fear. Most people with test anxiety, they start even report blanking when they see a question paper, and they are thoroughly, when they have studied too, they find it difficult to answer the questions. So negative self-talk, trouble concentrating on the test, and racing thoughts are some of the cognitive symptoms that one finds. The emotional symptoms are the depression, low self-esteem, and a low sense of helplessness. The students often feel helpless, and to change the situation, what do? They berate themselves and their symptoms and their poor performance. So instead of that, if the students are made to concentrate more, take the tests as a test of their own knowledge and evaluating their performance, maybe the test anxiety causes itself are addressed, maybe the children will be able to do better. Now, this sort of causes for the test anxiety may be because either being unprepared for the exam, or being afraid of failure, or having a history of poor testing outcomes prior. Sometimes the biological causes can actually help people feel nervous, and they're preoccupied with these anxiety symptoms, and more less occupied with that of the exam as such. They're more occupied with their bodily symptoms. And sometimes they have the mental causes. For example, they may feel if they perform poorly in exam, they are far more likely to become anxious before and during a test. But actually, the student expectations of what they are going to achieve may also cause such mental cause. Now, how to overcome test anxiety? one thing is to be prepared. One thing is to have prepared for the exam well, and do not sleeping, having sleepless nights, and being prone to reading before the night, and not waiting till the last day, that actual, but preparing beforehand may actually help the student to overcome the test anxiety. And also getting rid of the negative thoughts. What if the exam were not to go well? These sort of things will have to be gotten rid of. It has to be, one has to replace them with positive thoughts, and also get enough sleep, take deep breath, and understand the things in a proper perspective, give oneself one time, and avoid the perfectionist trap. What happens if one does not do an exam well, but then he may be able to do it later well, so he has to overcome this need for the perfection. And we know that because of all these thoughts, we find that the students find sometimes, because of this anxiety or failing in the school stage, they may feel that they have given much to all these things, and they may actually go to the next step, which is suicidal ideation. We know that the recent studies between 2012 and later have shown that the young adults of wealthier families and educated families are going in for suicide. This is because they feel that they may not be able to catch up the expectations of their parents or the society. Especially, we have seen such tendency going more in the adolescents or the teenage children among the states of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and also West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh, who they have set the worst precedents, in the sense that more students are dying from these, and there is a some sort of undue pressure coming from the parents on these children. The people have charged with nurturing and caring the child. Actually, they are leading to a number of psychological issues manifesting in different stages of youth as well as adulthood. We find that the children are showing most of the conditions like depression, and which is a sort of negative feeling or emptiness, and there is a lack of energy or fatigue on the part of the students. They are unable to feel any pleasure or enjoyment. They're more irritable, they're having sleeping problems, they are eating less or eating more, and the physical symptoms are persisting as headaches, stomach aches, or other pains. Now, people who are depressed and are intent to commit suicide, they do talk about these things. They actually also talk about, but they others may not take them seriously. There's a very long-standing belief that what they talk they may not actually follow through. But we know that when somebody is committing a suicide, it's a kind of dress rehearsal, and people actually they clear out the desks and lawyers, settle their finances and events, and they make decisions to end everything, and they look it as a way to escape. But we know that these sort of ideations must be seen as a negative thing, and the children must be weaned away from such thoughts. India is a highly competitive world. We know that students face various academic problems during the exams. They face exam stress, and they have disinterest in attending classes, the inability to understand a subject either due to the fault of the school as such, as well as a teacher. Most peoples are living on a in a highly competitive world and industrialized world where everybody is racing, and therefore do not give much chance to understanding the children as such. But then people feel stress on a day-to-day basis, but the effects of stress must be lessened, and the teacher or the school administration should see that the child is not much stressed out but has positive thoughts, and the education and learning is a plus activity. It should try to imbibe better qualities in the child instead of making them wear in a negative way of life or negative attitudes. We know that the stress causing events are known as stressors, but the most common response of stressors is anxiety. People who have stress and anxiety over long periods of time may have health related problems. Two of the biggest failures of the Indian education system is the inability to identify learning disabilities, and also considering the lack of academic achievement or having academic failure as the end of one's life. Now, parents want to do the best out of their children, therefore, put much pressure on them. But we have to see that this test anxiety is not there in the children. The parents must be aware, must keep cognizance of what is happening in the classroom. The teachers should know that what happens in the classroom. They should see that there is no bullying, no anxiety in the classroom, and learning must be a joyful activity, which may be imbibed by so many other things. The children must be made to understand that learning is such a healthy, happy process and must contribute to the overall development of the individual rather than getting only the marks and grades and trying to fulfill something or trying to quiz to the demands of the parents or pressure demands may actually have severe consequences. The society must try to address itself, look back and address these causes of depression and which may actually result in suicidal ideation in certain children and try to overcome these problems. Now we'll be dealing with the special education issues of education in India in the next class. Or if we have time, I'll try to go over some of the special issues of education in India. We know that education is very important and there are problems of Indian educational system. We have got some of the faulty educational system in which we try to emphasize more on marks, scores and grades. And we have lack of hands-on experience. We do not have teachers who are empathetic to the problems of the child. We have to understand what is the difference between the theory and the practice and one actually the real life experiences, how they can be taught best to the child. The child is made ready to understand the world he lives in, to understand and appreciate the importance of problem solving as having critical thinking and learning skills, as well as understanding that information is necessary, but information by itself does not give rise to solutions. The Indian education system is more theoretical than practical, and also our teachers are more focused on overcoming the what we call the competitive or what we call the corporate study sort of thing, where we are trying to see that there is both the poor quality of educators as well as teachers. The teachers are not able to grasp that the emotional well-being of the students is also important for the cognitive development of the child. That is both the emotional as well as the physical health aspects help in understanding. That is, they may also help the student to academically achieve something. Also, the low quality of institutions, the private schools and colleges, which are actually they are developed for the commercial purpose without any playgrounds or faculty or the full growth of the students. They actually inhibit the students from going into a full developed individuals. Also, the emergence of technology has changed the face of education. We have now the changed roles of the teachers. Much of the technology is being taken into cognizance, but at the same time, the emotional aspect of the children's growth can only be addressed by teachers who are well conversant with the student needs as such. And that means the changing role of the teacher and the society has caused lots of chaos and conflict and displeasure in the students and as well as the stakeholders like parents and other persons. But at the same time, it has not been actually giving much helpful or much good results. We also have got not much importance being given on personality building. We don't give importance to any moral or ethical values as such. More emphasis is given on grades and marks. It is like in a rat race to exceed. Importance is not given to overall personality development, and how a student actually overcomes these things is becoming difficult. Also, we have lack of funds, not much amount is spent for either social or activities or the lab structures or the general feeling idea where the activities where the students can spend some leisure activities as well as develop knowledge. Such sort of things are not given. The government institutions lack funds. Also, there is a problem of brain drain where there are people who are good enough who have good at subjects like physics or mathematics or computer science, they go away to other countries, leaving the country free for people who want to involve in the consumerist attitudes of teaching or learning or the education institutions. The people who set up the education institutions are not well aware of the educational principles that actually help the individuals go into healthy, scientific, and say, good citizens. And also, we have got the wastage of resources. No, we waste our resources in number of non-essential activities, whereas the material human resources are not developed. The problem rise at all the stages of education, especially the primary education. We also the middle education as well as university education. There is somewhat underprivileged or not given much access to reservation. The right to education is not uniformly followed in spite of our continuous saying words of saying that we give importance to right for education. We find that the right for education is not given much importance, and many students stay out of the field of education. And we talk about the free universal education of girls, but still some girls stay away from the field of education. There's lack of vocational or job oriented education in our country. And somehow we have not taken into consideration the skills that one needs to be imparted with to gain a vocation. So we suffer from both the quality of vocational education we are providing as well as general education, where individual is given a sufficient education to continue as a good citizen. And there is lack of also research and critical analysis. There's political interference at every level, and there's outdated syllabus, and there is somehow more importance given to the overall idea of education, but then the intricacies of education as such. The consumerist movement, the consumerism in education, and long-time privatization of education has also actually had a negative effect on education. We'll continue with the negative effects of education later. Thank you.